Hi everyone and welcome to Shah Lusso, and today I'm getting on another call with my friend Rida from Watch Society, and we're going to be talking about resale value on watches and how much that should influence your watch owning experience, how it should influence the buying part, the selling part, and just in general discussing, how resale affects the overall experience of having a luxury watch and figuring out how much really should it matter. At the end of the day, it's all subjective, but that's the entire point of trading opinions, right? And also, please do bear with us that this is the first time that we try doing a Zoom call while still filming it with proper cameras so we can bring you good quality video. So you may see myself and Rida glancing between different cameras at different points and not actually looking in the right direction. And it's just because we're getting our bearings around, having a screen that we have to look at to see the other person, but also having a camera we're supposed to look at that isn't quite positioned in the same thing. It's 2020, it's COVID, these are the things we have to get used to. But in any case, let's take a look at my chat with Watch Society. So I wanted to get on a call and talk a little bit. Remember a while back, we were talking about resale value. You were talking to me about how you don't really wear your Hulk because of its resale value. What you told me was essentially that you don't wear it because you know it's worth so much, but also you're resistant to sell it because it keeps going up. So pretty much you just have this Hulk sitting, not being worn, not being sold. And on top of that, that's with your dilemma that you've been having that you were telling me about, that, you're thinking maybe you should consolidate your collection a little bit, and also you want to sort of move up as well. So tell me about how all of this factors in, and what are you thinking right now that you want to do with your Hulk?
The Hulk, I adore this watch. I love this watch. I mean, this is a watch that, it's unique in every single way from a brand that I love. But where the question of sort of like not wearing it came is when I start looking at the prices, the aftermarket prices for it, websites like Chrono, and we've got the equivalent classified of that here in the UAE as well. And I start seeing it climbing up. This is when I got a bit worried, this is when I start thinking like, I don't want to scratch this watch, it is double, it's double of what I paid. So, so that was when that first part came up. And then the second part was that a couple of months later is when I realized that I don't really wear it. Not even occasionally. So of course there is that kind of perspective of that you want to make sure it's in pristine condition. But then the other part is that even then, I don't wear it not even one or two times. So I'm thinking, actually, is this, if I get an RM6701 Titanium, for instance, which is a watch, it's the only watch that I probably like from Richard Mille.
Yeah.
Would I be okay with trading something like the Hulk? Yeah, absolutely, I would. So 100, with no shadow of a doubt. But up until that comes by, it's just going to stay where it is in the box.
At least, the good thing is, at least I guess it's sitting there for when, at least you just want to find the right moment to sell it, which is good. At least it means that at least now you've come to a conclusion of what you plan to do with it, even though you don't know when that opportunity is necessarily going to come about. At least now it's got purpose again.
Yeah, the disconnect happen is when all right, okay, so you surely go buy a Rolex sport model. That's very exciting. I was super excited when I got the 1140-60, yeah? So you wear it, you beat it up, you don't mind that, you enjoy it. There is that excitement that lives in you, and you want to express it, you want to evoke it in every single way. Once I saw the prices go up for the Hulk, as in double and more, this is when there was a disconnect on that excitement, right? This is when I sort of lost all sort of emotional attachment to this watch. One, because I was not comfortable keeping it, I was not comfortable wearing it. Knowing that it's going for double of its price. And two is the fact that, I thought to myself, if it's at that value, I start thinking already, maybe I trade it up for something that I would wear on daily basis. So it's a good and a bad thing at the same time that the prices had gone up for it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I think, and that's why I generally don't tend to buy based on resale value, whether that be making money or not losing money, is because at the end of the day, money has an effect of killing the fun in a lot of things. And for me, watches is something I don't want to lose the fun out of it. I just want to enjoy my watches. So that's why I try and factor it out as much as I can. But at the same time, I try my best not to be an idiot about it. I try and buy smart at least. Even on my Tudor, even though I lost money and I sold it like an idiot, I still bought it well, so I didn't lose that much. It could have been much worse if I'd have paid, full retail on something like that, and on top of it, lost money on the resale. But also, like, I don't regret it, because at the end of the day, I got a watch that I really love, which is my Cartier. So it worked out well in the end.
We get into the question of reselling as a whole, right? Would you look back one day and say, you know what, I regret buying this, that? So the Hulk obviously kind of plugs into that story. But the question is really, again, for your viewers as well, Fred, is more directed toward, people that are investing in watches that they wear. This is not a flipper talk. This is not flipper education here, but we're talking about, like, surely the Hulk is, in demand. Rolex sport model line, a brand that I love and I enjoy, is generally in demand. But the question here is really directed toward, say, people that are investing in watches that they enjoy wearing. I'll tell you that my journey started in 2016 collecting. I think it was early 2016. And today I bought like a number of watches that actually do not get any wrist time, including the Hulk, right? Like, I'll give you another example. Believe it or not, the 1166 10 LN, the Submariner date, is one of those watches. It's a very popular model, of course, but it doesn't get any wrist time, not enough wrist time at least. I'm still trying to figure out if it's because maybe I scaled too fast and bought too many watches. It's surely a diver watch. It's a nice watch. It's very popular. Or maybe because the fact that I guess I'm beginning to learn about myself that I like simpler profile watches. So in that category of Rolex divers, I think the 1140-60, or the no date sub, as some may call it, replaces the Submariner date for me. I still have it. Would I get rid of it? I don't know. I'm not sure. But generally, diversifying is important. Keeping what you like and what you truly enjoy wearing is really here the point. And then again, on the note of scaling too fast, right? So I got the call for the Submariner and I picked it up. I got the call for the Submariner no date and I picked it up. And then I got the call for the Hulk as well. So I had to pick that up. But between the three, if you ask me which one gets more wrist time, it's the 1140-60. The Hulk, on the other hand, is just sitting. I guess value, no matter what people tell you, and I'm sure a lot of aftermarket dealers will tell you that value is not important. You should just buy what you want and buy what you like. For me personally, I'm against that. I think there need to be a value associated with it. I can't just go and check out like $7,000 or $10,000 on a watch that I know is not going to hold value. I'm not saying make a living out of it. I'm not saying make a profit or sell it. But what I'm saying is that you should at least be able to recoup some of that value back, like the majority of it. Should you, say, God forbid, be in a situation where you need to, say, get rid of it, right? And for that reason, I kind of steered away, and I'm glad that I did, from brands like Zenith. The Defy Classic is a watch that I talked about in my channel. I actually like that watch, the ceramic version, and you blow as well. So I think value is important. If you're fortunate enough, of course, to just go put this amount down on watches that you don't care about their value, then good for you. But there is a lot of us out there, myself included, that are not just able to go, say, throw in $10,000 on a watch that is going to drop in value. I don't know how you'd feel about it, Fred, but for me personally, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit different because, for me, especially with the way that I buy, I spend literally a year and a bit and just saving for a watch. When I do, I don't want to compromise. It's like I don't want to think about value whatsoever, but it is an important consideration for a lot of people. Personally, I don't look at watches as investments. For me, there's sunk costs and that's it. Don't buy a watch that you're not willing to lose all that money on. That being said, though, I think there is some consideration you can give to value in terms of if you're talking about, if you're talking about not from the selling side and what it retains. Instead, I think it should more have to do with buying smart. What I mean by that is, don't buy, for example, a Zenith Defy at full retail. I think if you buy smarter, and you pay a bit more attention to the resale value, but from a buying perspective, not from a selling it later perspective, then you can kind of protect yourself a little bit more against that while still being able to enjoy it. I'll give you an example. With my Omega, I bought it new because it was my first watch, and like I didn't really know that much about watches, so I didn't have the confidence to buy pre-owned. But I made sure I got a decent discount when I was buying it new, and the net result is that now 2 years later, the pre-owned price is actually a little bit more than I paid buying a new watch. And I wasn't expecting it to appreciate in value, but even then, like even if it had depreciated from retail, because I didn't pay retail, it's like I've preemptively avoided losing money on it. So I think buying smart is a better way to look at it without having to worry about necessarily limiting myself to certain brands or certain models just because you're worried about the value going down.
Absolutely. I mean, it's also, you know what, it's not just the point of buying smart, but it's also the point that if you're going to sell, you want to sell smart. And so I think it's also a question that, you want to be very sure of what you're selling, just not to have that. I mean, it's the same gravity or the same degree of regret for sort of buying impulsively, right? So it's kind of equal to that in a way. But then again, the point of value is, I think, important. Surely you don't want to justify your purchase or your buy just because this is an in-demand model or brand, for instance. Your opinion, of course, should come, and it should come on top of everything else, because at the end of the day, it's the watch you're buying. But you should also buy smart, right? So that value is important.
Yeah, and also I think building on what you said about selling smart, bearing in mind, like I made the mistake with my Tudor. I sold it very quickly. It was on a trade-in. I was on vacation, and it's because I wanted something else right away, which was my Cartier. Objectively, that was a stupid way to sell. I could have made more money selling it if I'd have sold it directly to a private, like just through a straight private sale. If I'd have given it some time, let it be on something like a Chrono 24 or an eBay, taking some nice pictures, all that, instead of, a rush going, like the transaction was literally 30 minutes of back and forth in the store that I was going to get the Cartier. That's because my priority was getting the Cartier. My priority wasn't really selling the Tudor well, The Tudor was just a means for me to get my Cartier without having to pay as much because I was trading it in. So I think selling smart can affect your value a lot more in addition to just like that perceived value. You can offset a lot of your depreciation or maximize some of your appreciation on something like a Rolex if you sell it smart, as well as buying it, at the right price as well.
Going back to buying tips, I guess this is from my own experience, is that number one, if you're looking at, say, brands that maybe outside of Rolex professional model, because that will always be sort of, it will come with a premium if you were to buy it, say, secondhand or from the aftermarket, is that I'm not saying go buy them brand new, but just make sure as well who you're buying it from, like that trusted relationship with, say, a dealer, an aftermarket dealer is very important. Like right now, I'm exploring a vintage day date. Now, this is a watch that, number one, like there's no box or papers behind it because it's vintage and it's really hard to get papers or one incomplete set. But I trust the dealer and I trust the technician that had looked at it as well. And I'm also getting a good price for it, like a really, really interesting price. So, so I wouldn't have jumped into that if that trust relationship was not there with this dealer, for example. So I think kind of establishing a relationship, not just with your authorized dealer, but an aftermarket dealer is equally important.
Oh, without a doubt, makes a world of difference.
I don't know what a day date is, the new one today. It's but what, over $29,000 to $30,000?
Yeah, I'd say it's about 30 to 40.
Or rose gold day date, but you can get the same one from or even a vintage one in the range of, say, $10,000, right? So, which is the 1800 series. There's a couple of variations. I'm obviously looking at the champagne dial one, which is kind of
classic
in the bracket. Yeah, of course, you want to go classic.
For me, that's the classic Notorious B.I.G. one right there, the classic Biggie one.
I know, straight up, right? And it has the diamond indices too, man.
Like, I think that's the thing, is if you're gonna go with the president, you have to go all out. Go gold, get some diamond indices on there, and 36 is still classy. That's what the classic size was. The 40s didn't really come into prominence until sort of the 2000s, like post Day 2 and all that.
And that sort of kind of brings me to another point as well. So I didn't want to buy that day date, or I'm not looking at this vintage day date specifically because I can't get the new one. I can surely get the new one. I just want to buy smart. but this is the watch that I actually really want, right? So that's like another point, for example, is that, outside of sort of buying smart, and sort of establishing that relationship with a trusted aftermarket dealer, you also want to get what you really want. Like, do not buy a watch because it looks like the one you really want, because that's the first, you're going to regret that quite quickly. It happened to me with the Black Bay 58. I know everyone's talking about it, but honestly, outside of the riveted bracelet, outside of the fact that I just didn't appreciate how it fits on my hand, although it's a 39mm case, I bought it because I didn't have the Submariner at the time, right? Yeah. What I really wanted was the Sub No Date, and I ended up getting this one instead, just because it was available. So I would say avoid buying a watch that looks like the one you want. Just buy what you want, wait for it, and just do that.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like, the similar sort of thing happened with my Tudor, with my Black Bay Chrono. It's a great watch, but I really wanted the Speedmaster 57. This was just sort of a vintagey looking chronograph to register that was close enough for me to buy it, but it wasn't really what I wanted in the end of the day, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't really connect with it while I owned it, and then also why I was completely like emotionally gone when it came to like selling it. I was like, fuck this, I want to get rid of this and get one of the other watches I really want. And that's why, again, like, it was objectively a poor sell, but it's like I didn't care because it's like I wanted to move on, and you lose money that way.
So that kind of brings up a question. So given my situation, telling you about my Hulk, what in your opinion would you think when is the right time to sell a watch? I say that, and of course, and bear in mind is that Rolex releases are due in, I guess, September, tail end of September.
Yeah, a month away.
So the question is, when is the right time to sell a watch? Do you think I'm at the right time to, say, trade up a Hulk for the watch I really want,
I think that's the thing, is there's two different things. There's the right time to sell a watch and the best time to sell a watch. I think the right time to sell a watch is when you don't wear it anymore or you don't really feel any connection, when it's just taking up space. The best time to sell a watch, that I think is a bit more nuanced, and I think it depends on the watch itself. Something like your Hulk, for example, there's all these rumors about obviously the Submariner being replaced. Like, I had that as one of my predictions. That could go two different ways, right? Like, either way, it'll go up in price a little bit, at worst. The question is whether the new Submariner will be exciting enough to the point that all the hype is on that, or whether it's not as exciting and everyone is instantly nostalgic for the Hulk that just got discontinued. Like, I think in both cases, the immediate reaction, like first 6 months, will be very volatile, you'll see a lot of extremes and all that. But it'll be interesting to see what the normalized version is after that hype dies down. You look at something like when they released the new Batman. Initially a lot of hype because it was a new Rolex, but also there was a lot of nostalgia. People wanted the Oyster. Like, I think a lot depends on what the reaction is to the new watch. That'll determine how much that jump is going to be and how long it lasts on something like your Hulk. But in general, I would say like a good time to sell a watch is when it's already been discontinued, but with that caveat that you may run the risk on something other than Rolex. You may run the risk that the newer thing is more exciting than the old one. With Rolex, usually you can bank on there's going to be nostalgia, and as soon as you can put discontinued on it and it's already hot, you don't have a lot of room to lose.
I think that's the thing. Rolex for me at least is the safest asset, I would say. It's a brand, but it's an asset at the same time. You can't go wrong with it. You get that call from your AD and for anything, Hulk, Daytona, whatever it is, you run up and get it. And I think that's what I did. I picked up the Hulk because I got that call. But would I go express interest, say, in a new Hulk that might come in the future, or if it's replaced, say, in September, or a Submariner, any Submariner for that, say, I think I won't. I'm good with the 1140-60, to be honest. I would rather save that, buck and kind of look for something else to add into the collection that is from a different brand. I don't want to end up with, say, 6 to 7 watches that I don't wear sitting there just for the sake of sitting there.
All right, well, we'll see what happens in September. Should definitely revisit the topic once the new ones come out. But man, we're running out of time, so we'll leave it at that for now. But man, great speaking to you.
Always good to see you, brother. Take care of yourself. Thanks a lot.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that call between me and Rida. It did take us a long time to organize this call. I know some of you in the comments have been asking for another watch talk, so sorry for the delay. But hopefully it was informative. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? How much do you think that resale value should really affect your overall experience in a watch? Do you think it weighs more at the buying point, at the selling point, at the ownership point, and should it? And how much should it if that's the case? I'd love to know your opinions and experiences in the comments below. And of course, if you like this video, make sure you like it and share it. You can follow both Rida and myself on Instagram at Shah Lusso for me, at Watch Society _ for him. And of course, if you want to keep seeing new watch videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, and subscribe to Watch Society. Do the same thing, notification bell for him, so you can see even more regular watch content and collaborations between the two of us. In any case, thanks for watching this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.